class, we're going to try something new this week, and we are actually going to do something that's called a flipped lesson. So the whole purpose of this is you are going to learn via this video, and then tomorrow we will actually go through this process again, just going over the parts of a sewing machine, and we will go over the safety along with potential quiz or handouts. So make sure you're paying attention to what I'm going through. Here we go with the parts of a sewing machine. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to, 1, identify the parts of a sewing machine, and 2, hopefully memorize these parts to begin our first sewing project, which will hopefully be by the end of this week. Here is a basic sewing machine. So it's a little bit of a blurry picture, but you kind of get the idea of what a sewing machine will look like if you have never seen one before, and that's okay if you haven't. You will be seeing some in class, and hopefully we'll be able to be working on our very own. It will look a little bit different than this one, like most sewing machines look different, but yeah, so here's kind of a picture. If you need any further or research on a sewing machine, you can definitely look that up on your own, and we will be going over it in class. The first thing we want to talk about is the spool pin. It's that little piece that it's pointing to, and this is where the thread starts, and it can be on its side, like it's pictured, or it can be straight up. So, yeah, there's a picture of that. 2, we have tension plates. These plates squeeze the thread to make the tension tighter and looser as needed. So those disc or plate, or however you would like to say it, those will move depending on what exactly the function is. Next we have the take-up lever. This pulls the thread to keep it moving to the needle. Yeah, so it pulls it to take up the lever, or it's called the take-up lever. It pulls it to keep the needle moving when needed or if needed. Next we have a sewing needle, and this needle is what pierces the fabric. Also, you will use it to correct the type depending on your project or material. So just like it's pictured in here, what the lady is holding her finger, I don't know if you can see this, but my mouse is going exactly to where the needle is, and like I said, there will be different types of needles depending on what you are using it for. Number 5, we have the presser foot. This is what runs over the cloth, and there are several types of feet for different projects. So this is doing exactly what I said. It's going over the cloth and making that cool little design right there. And it just depends on what exactly you're going through to what exactly you will need for this. Number 6, we have the funny word of feed dog. I believe this is something probably none of us will forget ever again once we know what the actual definition is, which it's what pushes the fabric under the foot. So I apologize for this very blurry picture, but here you can kind of see a disengaged one over here on your right side. So this is, you can kind of see it separated from the two parts, and then an engaged one, it is together. So yeah, feed dog, that's what it is. Not what you would probably expect. Next, we have the throat plate. This is the metal plate underneath the foot with measurement markings on it. So you see the foot and you see the actual plate, so kind of picture, it's funny because you see the feed dog and then you see the plate. So here we have the different measurements like I said, and the plate is just that silver part at the bottom. Number 8, we have the bobbin. The bobbin is a small spool of thread that delivers the bottom thread for the stitch. So this red arrow is pointing to the bobbin case, which is then going up here and taking the thread out. Number 9 is the reverse button, used to reverse the flow of fabric and stitch, typically used to finish a seam. So the reverse button is right on top of the start/stop on this machine. Next we have the hand wheel. This wheel is used to manually crank the needle or adjust it. So you can see this person is moving it, or you can assume that she's moving it, or he. And yeah, so this is probably one of the only manual parts that you will need to do when working with a sewing machine. So machine usually does it all for you, which is really nice. For 11, we have the stitch selection. This is how to change the type of stitch your machine makes. So I included 3 different pictures here because there's many ways that the stitch selection can look, and I will show you guys very clearly tomorrow what ours will look like, but you can see they kind of have the same idea of what it's asking for. This one has a little, the one in the middle has a little key, whereas the one on the left and the right have just the pictures or letters describing it. 12, this is the button start, so this is what makes the machine go, kind of like a car, or like any other machine you would use. 13, last but not least, is the bobbin winding. This is how you get the thread on your bobbin. So you can kind of see we have the stopper, the spindle, the spool pins, and here are my sources for all the pictures that we have because those are not mine. And again, I hope you guys are able to go through this very easily, or as easily as I tried to make it, and we will be going over tomorrow some of this again, but please have it memorized, or as memorized as you possibly can for tomorrow's activity. Okay, thank you so much for working with me.